Our initiative is OneRoof Youth Hub. We are a single site location where youth can come access a variety of services. These services include housing, crime prevention, health services. They can access financial support, education, all of that stuff. And it's designed to kind of meet youth where they're at. So if they're looking for any type of support, even if it's a service we don't necessarily provide here, they know they can come here and get connected and be given referrals, and it's all really low barrier. So they can just pop in. They don't necessarily need to make an appointment and let us know what they're looking for, what they're maybe struggling with, what they might think of as a need that they're not having met, and we connect them or provide the service directly. I guess essentially the way it prevents youth homelessness is by not having to access multiple service providers. We're decreasing those barriers and attempting to kind of improve outcomes. Quite a while ago, we had really siloed services for youth. It was something that the youth had identified as a need, and then the community also came together. When you're a youth whose life maybe is chaotic or you're going through a hard time, it's really tough to reach out one time, let alone maybe 5 or 6 times to access services. So kind of all our community partners realize that, and we're willing to come to the table and have a conversation about how we can meet that need. We were able to integrate the services here. So it was from both community feedback, youth feedback, and then feedback from service providers. Other communities have kind of done a similar thing where one agency houses the hub, and then all other agencies provide either in-kind or paid services. So we were inspired by, like, there's one in Guelph, there's some in Toronto, places like that. We initially started as like a really hodgepodge group of service providers that would run drop-in, and it was sort of different every day, and the leadership teams came together and were willing to support and provide frontline staffing. Now we've grown. So at that time, it was really more social services that we were offering. It was housing, some addiction supports, case management, things like that. It's really, really grown thanks to both our community partners and then funding through Youth Wellness Hubs Ontario and funding through the federal government for a crime prevention program. But that was kind of how it started. And then it was just in kind of a small building at that time. We were really limited for space, so we found another space, and we were able to kind of design that space to be more youth friendly. The youth participated in painting the murals here, optimizing the space, figuring out what they wanted. We now have like a large kitchen that offers life skills training and things like that to them. And then a lot more community partners came on board, and we've been able to really diversify the supports that we provide. I think the shared vision of supporting youth who are experiencing challenges is something that everybody can get behind, but I also think that every agency specializes in something different. So it's important to bring together the service providers so that we can all be on the same page. And I mean, youth homelessness is an incredibly complicated topic. It's an incredibly complicated experience for the youth. And I think without the diversity of the service providers that support us, we could not do what we do. And I think because of how complex it is, it's unrealistic to think that one agency could meet every need. I think key lessons are to bring together the leadership of service providers, but also to hear the voice of the youth. When things have fallen flat, it's generally because we didn't listen to what the youth were saying, or the community didn't listen and assumed that us as professionals knew best, and that's not necessarily the case. So what we've learned is that it's really important to hear what the youth need or think they need or think they might need in the future. That's a really big one. Like the youth population is changing, in particular post-COVID, things have gotten much more complex. And so hearing what the youth would like for services or what supports they think they would need is really, really important. And then bringing that information up to a leadership level and saying, how can we meet that need? Or, what community partner maybe has that service or has something similar or is willing to work with us to develop it and put it in place, I think is huge. I also think that with the current climate, the way it is, especially in terms of service funding, we're all siloed and fighting for the same pot of money. It's important to set that aside and really focus on what the end goal is. The end goal is that we are supporting as many youth as we can in as many areas as we can to try and decrease or prevent youth homelessness as effectively as possible. And you can't do that without working together. So I think setting aside kind of that like competition mindset is really important as well. I can just like provide you an example from like even today. So we have a young person. That youth literally was just cold. It was winter. They were in shelter, out of shelter, all over the place. And someone had briefly mentioned to them, if you're looking for food, just go down to OneRoof. They came and then they've been here almost every day since. And they are in the process of moving into a unit. And they also spend a lot of time supporting the work that we do. So they are, constantly here cooking for the other youth. They are supporting in programming. They are supporting in, taking the youth out on outings and things like that. So I think it's a testament to the community that can be built for youth that are really, really isolated and what that community can mean for the young folks that we work with. They, when you're a youth, you want connection, and that is often how people fall into maybe some antisocial connections or, get into some situations that, we as service providers, we probably just have the grace of not having been found out for it kind of thing. But being able to see how developing a community and kind of building those pro-social connections, for lack of a better word, can make a difference is pretty remarkable. So that young person is going to be housed soon and they're just in the process of getting their stuff together and really, really excited for it.